Aries Girl Podcast. Welcome to the Aries Girl Podcast. I'm your host, Aries Ramsey. All commentary provided in this video is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only under the guidance of the Fair Use Act of 1976. Well, now that we have that disclaimer out of the way, let's get into the show. Hello Zodiacs. Let's talk about the premiere episode of Family Empire Houston. I must admit that the show was much better than I expected it to be, given that it was a Kingdom Reign production. Perhaps it was because this was Melody Cherie Rogers' initial concept for Love and Marriage Huntsville, and not something from the mind of Carlos King like Bold and Bougie, which I couldn't even bear to watch. In the first scene of the show, we are welcomed to Houston, Texas, and given a glimpse into the complex dynamics of the Braden family lineage. The matriarch of the family is Miss Oscarine Braden, and the main characters of the show appear to be Nicole Braden Handy, Jermisha Goudreau, and Jaquita Martin, who like to call themselves sister cousins. Gee, how cute. Apparently, the sister cousins get together to gossip, share secrets, and talk about their husbands with one another. We also get a glimpse of the inner workings and origins of the Braden real estate group. Here's a little background information. Oscarine, known as Granny, paid for cousins Nicole and Jermisha to get their real estate licenses. Their cousin, Jaquita, initially got her doctorate in pharmacy, but when she started making more money as a part-time realtor, she stopped being a pharmacist and started doing real estate full-time. They are about to have a company meeting, and from it, we learn of the projects for the quarter and the upcoming company photo shoot in which everyone will wear black. Also, we learn that the company started off with 5 agents, and now have almost 100 agents. In addition to the sister cousins working together, some of the husbands work at the Braden real estate group as well. Jaquita's husband, Chris Martin, is the content producer slash videographer slash photographer, and Jermisha's husband, Justin Goudreau, is a top producing real estate agent. However, Nicole's husband, Larry Handy, does not work at the family real estate group, and in Jermisha's confessional, she jokes that Larry, who works at a refinery, wouldn't mind being a house husband, so Nicole needs to sell more houses. Later, a family dinner is held at Jermisha's house. Aunt Cheryl, Miss Oscarine's daughter, calls out the menu, which includes oxtails, smothered chicken, fried chicken, and brisket. Back in Jermisha's confessional, she says that her family is from the South and they fellowship over food and that food is their love language. She also said that everything is bigger in Texas, including the people. Okay Jermisha. One by one, the family starts to arrive for dinner. Once Miss Oscarine arrives, we learn that her vocal cords were damaged when she suffered something similar to a stroke, and that her husband passed away a little over a year ago. When Lakeisha arrives, we're informed on screen that she is Nicole's and Monet's half-sister. Get prepared for the side chick slash side baby drama that Carlos King loves so much. The family goes ahead and starts to bless the food without waiting on Nicole and her family, because they are apparently always late. Jaquita shares the sentiment that they are celebrating the family's January birthdays, and also honoring the late patriarch of the family, Frank Braden, known as Pawpaw. Nicole finally arrives as everyone is already eating, and Jermisha says in her confessional that Nicole is always fashionably late. As Nicole is speaking to everyone to tell them hello, we are taken to her confessional where she claims that she is never really late for her family. It's just that she's not there as soon as they get there. However, she's never late for those that pay her, and she's never late to the checks. During this dinner, we learn that Nicole's husband Larry has been working the late shift, so she will have to take a plate of food home to him. In Nicole's confessional, she admits that his work schedule is something that they've been dealing with since they first got married, and that there have been issues in the past with her husband. Issues in the past? How much do you want to bet that it involves a side chick? Make sure you pop in and take the poll on my community page to voice your opinion. As we are taken to a flashback conversation with Nicole and Larry that occurred a year ago, Larry says to her that they need to take more time for each other, and she tells him that she's been holding on to a lot of things internally, and is holding grudges for those things. She doesn't think it's cool for them to be at home not speaking to one another, and he claims that he is too old to start over. However, Nicole tells her husband that she is not too old to start over and that she's a good catch. Yeah, It's got to be a side chick situation, right? Carlos King, we did not sign up for this mess. Nicole, please learn a lesson from Melody Sheree Rogers if this is the case. Also, Larry, look at Martel Holt. Don't end up like him, because we don't want to see any more side chicks and side babies. Back in scene at the family dinner, the family discusses how Larry always has to work, and Nicole claims that it is the story of their life, but hopefully, Larry will be at the next function that the family has. If you're enjoying this type of content, please like the video and subscribe to the Aries Girl podcast channel. I'd love for you to be a podcast zodiac. As we continue the family dinner, it is officially revealed that Lakeisha is Frank Jr.'s side baby. In Nicole's confessional, she admits there's sensitivity to her relationship with Lakeisha because they have different mothers and grew up in different households. In Lakeisha's confessional, she informs us how she doesn't recall being sat down properly and told how she was related to everyone. Nicole says that Lakeisha doesn't know how to approach her in certain instances, and she feels like she has to walk on eggshells around her. She then switches gears and talks business by mentioning that they have not had a company photo in about 4 years. Back in scene, Jermisha, Nicole, and Jaquita speak to her husband Chris about the photo shoot and how often he comes into the office, and we learn of Chris and Nicole having a disagreement about her telling him to leave the office because he was interrupting the agents. We go back and forth between their confessionals, with Chris saying how hard Nicole works, and with Nicole saying they bump heads the most because they work together the most. They are both very creative. Nicole thinks that she has to talk Chris off of the ledge, and Chris says that most of the time, family doesn't see your greatness. Nicole then says that when their creativity comes together, it's magic. Jaquita says in her confessional that she doesn't like to get caught in Chris's and Nicole's drama because her husband expects her to have his back, even when he is not right. Jermisha shares with the family that they now have 98 agents and tells her grandmother that she never knew all of this would happen, with her paying for their real estate licenses and pushing them to open a brokerage. She's very appreciative, and Miss Oxcarine is very proud of them. They then ask their grandmother about the vacant land that their grandfather wanted them to have before he passed. Unfortunately, Granny doesn't remember her husband saying that. Jermisha goes to confessional and describes all of her grandparents' real estate ventures, how they build apartment complexes, reception halls, beauty shops, and daycares, etc. The vacant land in question is costing a hefty tax bill each year, and Jermisha is ready to get the land developed. And she doesn't want her grandmother to sell the land to some stranger. She wants the land to build a legacy and generational wealth. However, Granny wants the land to be sold so that everyone can pay off their homes. She specifies that it is to pay off her children's homes, the G1s, and not the grandchildren, the G2s, which includes Jermisha, Jaquita, and Nicole. So, Granny wants to think of her children first, and Jermisha feels a sense of urgency to get their affairs in order since the recent passing of their grandfather. Aunt Nikki, Miss Oxcarine's daughter, seems to be Granny's representative, and she wants the conversation tabled until another time. In the next scene, Nicole is driving to a gorgeous luxury property that she is about to show one of her clients. She goes into confessional and states that as co-CEO of the Braden Real Estate Group, she always says that greatness is on the other side of fear, and she will not be afraid to take the next step. She believes that this has made her into the businesswoman that she is today. Back in scene, she says that she didn't start out doing luxury properties. At first, she was selling homes in the $250,000 range, and she ended up selling 51 homes like that, which resulted in $12.75 million in sales. Her client Solange, a top surgeon in the area, arrives, and Nicole gives her a tour of the home. The home is 5 bedrooms, 5 full baths, and 6,000 square feet on a premium lot with water views. Solange loved the house, but wasn't too thrilled with the commute nor the $1.4 million price tag, so she will be making a strategic offer after Nicole pulls the comps on other properties. Carlos, more of this real black business excellence please, and no more of the fakery of business and side chicks with side babies nonsense. In the next scene, Jermisha and Jaquita meet up at one of the family's commercial properties on Homestead, and they reminisce about the grand openings they attended over 30 years ago. In Jermisha's confessional, she talks about how her grandparents were able to build businesses, homes, and a community in that area. and she thinks that is what they all should be doing. Back in scene, they discuss going to the vacant property with their Aunt Nikki, after tabling the discussion at the family dinner as their Aunt Nikki pulls up. In confessional, Jermisha says that Aunt Nikki is the gatekeeper to Granny's real estate holdings. They end up walking over to the property as Jermisha states in confessional that she wants to give Aunt Nikki the vision for the property so that she can speak with the other G1s to get them on board and talk to Granny. In Aunt Nikki's confessional, she says that she will hear Jermisha out, but she can't make any promises. Her dad did say he wanted the land to go to the G2s, however, she's Granny's real estate agent, and Granny wants to sell the land and give the proceeds to the G1s now. While they are viewing the property, Jermisha tells Aunt Nikki and Jaquita that she thinks that they could have 50 businesses constructed on the property depending on the size and layout. Nikki tells her nieces that the land has appraised for $865,000. This is remarkable because Granny only paid $72,000 for the property. Selling it as vacant land will potentially yield a profit of $793,000. Jaquita tells them that the land is a gem and that they can't let it go. In her confessional, Jermisha says that as the center of Houston grows, future development will be pushed out to where the vacant land is located in Northeast Houston. In scene, Jaquita asks what the taxes are per year. The answer is $34,200. This is why her grandmother wants to sell the land more than likely. Jermisha then says that the land could potentially be worth $5 to $10 million if they develop it, and it stays in the family. In confessional, Aunt Nikki says she sees the potential and is sold on the idea, but reiterates that the G1s and Granny have to be sold on it as well. If over $800,000 is being taken out of the G1's pocket, the return better be great. In the next scene of the episode, Nicole arrives at the Lumen Group for the company photo shoot. She talks to Chris and learns that they will do headshots first and then take a group photo. In her confessional, Nicole says that she and Jermisha couldn't afford their own office when they started, but 5 years later, they are almost at 100 agents. Back in scene, Lakeisha is assisting Chris with the photo shoot logistics. In her confessional, Lakeisha brings up the things that would bother her growing up because she didn't know where her place was in the family. Sometimes, she would be left out of family photos with Nicole and Monet, who are her sisters. She didn't feel as welcomed as she thinks she should have been, like she was with her Aunt Jackie. She mentions that she did feel close to Jaquita and Jermisha, like sister cousins. In confessional, Jermisha talks about where the Braden group began 5 years ago. Back in scene, Nicole talks to Chris about his hesitation regarding coming into the office because it isn't okay for him not to be present. Now, I am not really sure why Chris doesn't want to go into the office, but in my opinion, it sounds like it stifles his creativity. Back in Jermisha's confessional, she says that she thinks that Chris doesn't want to come into the office because he doesn't feel respected, but she says that she bets he feels his paycheck. Well, damn. Chris then suggests they do a contract in order for him to come into the office, and everyone agrees. In Nicole's, Jermisha's, and Chris's confessional, they all agree as well. Back in scene, Jaquita invites Jermisha and Nicole to her house to eat. I can sense the drama that's about to unfold. In the final scene, we are taken to Jaquita's house, where she and her sister Jermisha have decided to start eating their crawfish and not wait on Lakeisha and Nicole, because they are both late. They joke about Jaquita's 2-drink maximum, because apparently she is a light drinker and can't hold her liquor. Then, Lakeisha arrives, and they reminisce about her going to run away from home when she was younger because she was upset about something. Apparently, she had her hitchhiker's thumb up while standing at the road after packing snacks from the pantry. They had a good laugh about it. Jermisha then tells Lakeisha that she wanted to prep her before Nicole gets there. That night's conversation is going to entail Jermisha and Jaquita wanting Lakeisha and Nicole to have a more sisterly bond, because, in addition to their grandfather passing away, Lakeisha's mom also passed away in close proximity. In her confessional, Lakeisha states that she does need everyone more since losing her mom. She's the only one without a mother, and this brings her to tears. She and her mother were close and she took care of her mom when she was sick. Back in scene, Jermisha tells Lakeisha that she needs them, and she agrees. Lakeisha has a wall built up when it comes to Nicole, and Jaquita jokes that she and Jermisha don't have a wall between them. Then, Nicole finally makes it, and wants Prosecco with her crawfish instead of beer. That's odd. Who does that? I might not drink beer from a can because I'm uppity, but this Aries girl will have a bottle of Abita Amber, Michelob Light or a bottle of Corona Light with her crawdads. Yes, I said crawdads. Shout out to everyone in the Houdat Nation. Also, shout out to Abita Beer, Michelob and Corona if they would like to sponsor me. Anyway, they all decide to have Prosecco. The lesson is, run if you see Quita on her second drink in Jermisha's and Nicole's confessionals. In Quita's confessional, she wants to know what the problem is because she's drinking at home. Jermisha toasts all of the cousins, mentions their busy week, and fills Nicole in on the stats of the vacant land and the thoughts of using the property's equity to fund the cost of the development. In her confessional, Nicole states how she understands the value of flipping this property, but Granny will still have the final say. Back in scene, they discuss the day's photo shoot and how to give a serious face in photos. Apparently, Nicole says to smile, raise your eyebrows and then stop smiling for a serious face, and they start practicing at the table while joking and laughing at one another. Jermisha and Jaquita also joke about not having a wall between them like Nicole and Lakeisha, which makes Nicole ask why they would say that. Unfortunately, when Jermisha tells Nicole why, it angered her. In confessional, Lakeisha says that the wall between her and Nicole bothers her, and that she wants to feel like sisters, protected. Back in scene, Quita says she feels like she can't joke because of Nicole's and Lakeisha's sensitivity. Nicole explains that they aren't sensitive, they just grew up differently. Meanwhile, Quita is still giggling, probably from the alcohol, but Nicole thinks she is making a mockery. In confessional, Nicole says that family can say how they feel, but she doesn't want hurtful moments made fun of. This should be a loud and clear message to any man creating children outside of their marriage. Your legitimate children can view your outside children's existence as hurtful. Back in scene, Nicole chastised Quita and told Lakeisha that she never expressed those feelings to her, maybe because she hasn't created that safe space. And with that being said, Nicole got up and left because of her cousins. In Jermisha's confessional, she said that Nicole likes to pretend that everything is okay, that she's strong and independent and has to have a level of control over life, family, and she tries to keep everything on the straight and narrow in the form of appearances. Once Nicole gets outside, she can be heard asking someone to take off her microphone, and that ends the episode. Zodiacs. Overall, the show was pretty good, but I'm not excited about the side baby narrative concerning Lakeisha. Knowing Carlos King, this is going to be overplayed and overutilized with zero consideration for the emotional well-being of Nicole, Monet, or Lakeisha. Not to mention, I'm thinking that Nicole's husband has had a side chick situation in the past, or possibly has one now. Don't forget to take the poll on my community page regarding this issue. Also, please hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and why not go ahead and support the channel by subscribing, so that you never miss an episode of the Aries Girl podcast. I will see you on the next video. Until then, take care.